Hey there, adventurers. We're right in the middle of March Madness, and that means you're going to get a couple of bonus episodes between now and our anniversary on April 1st. So keep tuning in and soaking in all that delicious incorrigibleness. Here's what happened last time on the Incorrigible Party.
A party divided. Shaft retaliates against Shakara for her attack on Falzarin. Mia manages to step in and calm the situation down, ultimately settling on casting Zone of Truth to get to the bottom of the Dragonborn's accusations. Once in the privacy of a rented room at the Creepy Aura, Falzarin willingly submits to the effects of the spell. Unable to lie, the wizard announces himself to be neither a deep scion nor to be in league with the Kralakeen occultists. Anger quelled, but party trust still uncertain, Keck stays true to her word, and is able to get them into the Elder's party at the keep, only for it to be revealed that the guest of honor is Isabella Good.
Now let's get back at it. Or, as Surma would say, let's get cracking.
This hall is quite large. It's 110 feet long, 90 feet wide, with a nearly 50-foot ceiling. It's very lavishly decorated with tapestries. They hang from every wall around you. Some have arcane symbols embroidered into them. Others depict the visage of wizards of past. Two of them have elegant elvish script stitched into a maroon-colored background. They hang on the rearmost wall, directly behind the table that the elders and Isabella sit at, way at the far end of this hall. They're kind of nestled between two large double doors that have been opened, and you can kind of see that they open up into some type of garden area. Those that speak Elvish, I don't know if any of you do other than Falzarin now. But of course, Falzarin, you are more than familiar with what they say. One reads, "Noble be the path of the arcane, to stray is folly and leads to misery." The second reads, "Tradition above all else." And you see the hall is very crowded already. Many guests have arrived ahead of you, it seems. In this far northeastern corner, you see that there's a band that's already kind of set up and playing. Half a dozen of these rounded tables, they dot the hall's floor, arranged in this loose circle, leaving a large open area where guests are dancing along to the music. It's kind of it's not like, in the club dance, but it's more of like a waltz, kind of prestigious almost. Around 3 of the 4 walls of this hall, the west, south, and the east, you see there's an upper balcony, too, that runs around the perimeter, where more guests with drinks they seem to be conversing and kind of watching this display of the dance. Could everyone roll me a perception check, please?
17 for Shakara.
Critical fail for Mia.
It's a 3 for Falzarin.
19 for Shaft.
Get that crap out of the way.
Yeah, Shaft and Shakara, you both notice Tenchi kind of slipping through the crowd, and on this far western wall, you see him slipping out of the hall and through one of 2 doors that line this wall. The two of you also spot on this far back northern wall behind the elders and Isabella, kind of leaning against it underneath these elvish tapestries. So you spot 2 more figures that they stand out. They're unmoving. They're clad in plain gray robes. They're colored very similarly to what Isabella wears. Their clothing has no embellishments, though. That's very drab. They seem to be ill-fitting in random places, overly tight and stretched across an arm, showing a sizable muscle mass beneath, but loose and baggy in other places, as if covering a lame limb that can barely function. They both wear gloves that match their robes, and their heads are completely wrapped up, obscuring their facial features, save for a narrow slit that their watchful eyes, you kind of see them leering over the crowd.
There's only 2 of them?
There's only 2 of them. It does not appear that any of the elders or Isabella herself have noticed your entry, as again, the party's in full swing at this point.
Other than those 2 that you mentioned, is there anybody else standing around that looks like they may be security or guards of some kind?
Does not appear so.
Is it packed enough where one could sort of move in the crowd and potentially not be noticed?
You could try.
Okay. So we all walk in here, right? And we see Isabella at the table. I'm going to reach up and grab Falzarin and go, Hey, look who's at the middle of the table up there.
Yeah, this is. I have no idea why she's here, Shaft. This is not good.
Is this something that we can hear, or just you're talking to him?
I'm talking to him. Is the room loud?
The music is audible throughout this very large hall. It's kind of a slight echo with its size, but the tapestries do dampen some of the sound.
I'm not trying to be quiet enough where you guys can't hear me. I'm just sort of directing my voice up to him and having that conversation. I go, so we're here to tell him about the Kraken, right?
Yeah. Shakara, Mia, I'm not exactly, I think I've mentioned this before, but I'm not on great terms with some of the elders here.
That figures.
Well,
Shakara, give him
we
a
don't
break.
see eye to eye. I'm not sure how happy they're going to be to see me here. But we do need to stick to our task and alert them.
I know a party like this might not be the best time to bring something up to them, but... What?
It does seem very formal.
There's no time to waste.
When else are we going to get a chance to talk to the elders all at one time? Well, maybe you two should go talk to them, actually.
And who are you pointing at?
I'm pointing at Mia and Shakara.
I don't have an objection to that if you two are willing to do that. I'm not sure when an opportune time would be to...
I sort of push on Falzarin a little bit, like, shut up. Look at him. I go, so, I mean, it is the right thing to do, right, girls?
Yeah, but weren't we worried about if they could be trusted?
Yeah, we are. We're just going to tell them about the Kraken, and then, as far as I'm concerned, job done.
Falzarin, point out which one is which to us.
Sure. So, and I'm kind of being very weary of my visibility and presence. I'm kind of trying to duck behind anyone who might keep me out of the line of sight of the table of elders. And I name them off. I say, I go through the list, and I would re-emphasize what I've said in the past, I think, which is that Alamar is the most respected and eldest and has the most sway, and that he's one who should be a bit wary of, perhaps, and that he's the one that likes Falzarin the least. And I would also point out Geneva and explain that in the past she's been the most kind and receptive to Falzarin, so she can perhaps be trusted if any of them can be. And I kind of skip over Isabella when I'm describing them.
And who is the woman in the middle?
Well, Shakara, that's a bit of a long story. And, well, I think you've heard of Isabella before, haven't you?
That is Isabella? The one that you had dealings with?
That is. We need to be very careful here, guys. I'm not sure why she's here.
Think of her as a Falzarin's ex-girlfriend, and he just really doesn't want to have a conversation with her right now.
Things could get awkward, for sure.
Things are already awkward.
Shakara, we're all on the same side here, remember?
Are we?
He is not a deep scion, remember?
I don't know if I still trust anything.
Let's not make a commotion here. I'd like to kind of stay out of sight and see how this unravels. I'm not sure why she's here.
Do you think that Geneva would help us fight the Kraken? I'm not just here to warn about the Kraken, I want help. You say their magic powers are really strong, I mean...
They're very powerful, yes, but you have to keep in mind that they have allegiances to each other, and if they are not all in unanimous agreement for one thing or another, it may be very difficult to get one of them to heed our cause and join us.
I mean, Shakara, right? You, if you don't really trust Falzarin here, I get it. But you're trying to get their help to kill the Kraken. It's really irrelevant if he's involved or not, right?
Agreed.
So, if we can do that part, then at least we'll be able to have them have the knowledge of that. I would still be really careful because, as you said before, we really don't know here who we can trust. They might all be deep scions.
So Falzarin, are we allowed to mention that we know you, or just leave you out of it altogether?
I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm a little bit worried about this.
Do you think you're gonna get through the whole party without someone recognizing you?
Well, I may have some means to keep myself from being obvious.
I mean, we've been here 5 minutes by a table. Like, I'm sure people have already seen you.
And as you are having this conversation, I imagine you've kind of moved away from the entrance here off to the side a little bit as more guests have started to filter in. You hear the song that was playing when you walked in kind of starts to wind down, and the people on the dance floor, they stop their dance in time to the music, and then a new song kind of picks up, and more people join them in doing a different kind of dance. And Falzarin, you've been to this Elder Keep before. Like you've been to a place like this. Maybe not quite such a formal occasion. Mia is also well versed in types of ceremonies, traditional gatherings. Both of you certainly know kind of generally how the ebb and flow of such an event goes. Is clearly we're waiting for everybody to arrive. I mean, everyone has been invited here for a purpose, and obviously with Isabella, from the information that Keck has told you, you could piece together. Isabella's clearly the guest of honor here. She's the reason everyone's here. So there's certainly going to be more to be going on than just everyone here having drinks and having dinner, right, and listening to music, obviously. But as this new dance picks up, Valzin, you spot a woman get up from a table, kind of close to the elders, maybe 50-ish feet away from you. She kind of takes the hand of another man, egging her on to join, and you see that it's Catalina Fendon, Brendel's widow. She gets up on the dance floor. She's laughing. She's going to have a really great time at this party as it continues. And, there's people running around with drinks, and someone comes by spotting you without one in your hands. A waiter comes up. It's got a tray full of, goblets full of wine, and kind of eyes the four of you as it's very clearly the way that you are dressed, nowhere near the elegance in which some of these guests are. You get the air of there's some real pomp and circumstance going on in this place. But regardless, you've entered. He has no reason to question and hands you each a drink should you want to take one.
I'll take two.
Yeah, I'll take one. I haven't said this yet, but I think Falzarin, upon seeing Isabella, he would have pulled his hood up over his head to, as much as that might stand out, he wants to not be recognized, if at all possible.
I take the drink that was handed to me and I give it to Shaft. Here you go.
Well, I'll take two. I'll drink one real fast, just chug it down and put it back on the tray, and then take hers.
Shakara will not take a drink.
Falzarin's hand's kind of shaking a little bit as he takes a drink, and he's saying, yeah, I think this is exactly what I need.
And the waiter kind of gives you each a nod and flits off to, return the empty now and serve some other people.
So, Shaft, I think we need to lay low here and maybe, stick to the outskirts of this room, and I'm hoping I don't get noticed for at least a little time. Shakara, Mia, are you willing to go tell the elders whenever an opportunity presents itself?
Yes, of course. I'm quite familiar with ceremonies and parties. Ugh, I kind of dread them myself, being raised around so many, but I kind of have a sense for these things. It's not appropriate to go up there and talk to them right now. I'm gonna wait a little bit.
Why cannot we just go and get this business done?
It's a very delicate business, Shakara, to go up and talk to elders like this, and...
We have information for them. We need to tell them, and then we need to leave.
I mean, I don't agree with you, Shakara. I think you're seeing it as black and white, and it's a lot more gray than that.
I'm with Shakara. Let's get the hell out of here. And I drink my other drink down. Put it on the floor.
If you're with Shakara, go ahead and go up there with her.
No, hell, I'm not going up there. I'm just saying I think we need to get this done. Falzer and I need to... I sort of look at Falzer and I go, you see anybody here you don't know?
There's certainly, I recognize a lot of people here. I'm hoping no one has recognized me yet.
I think we're just going to stay back here and have a few drinks. Mia, I mean, what's your concern? I don't understand.
I just understand the delicate intricacies of social networking and parties, and I just need more time to observe.
Maybe if you walk up and sort of whisper it to one of them instead of making a big scene.
Oh, Shaft, you're so funny. No.
Mia, I shall defer to your experience in these matters. I shall follow your lead.
I don't mind leaving the boys here, Shakara, and maybe just walking and introducing ourselves to other people and just sort of keeping an eye on the head table. When the time is right, it will present itself.
Well, the good news, everyone, is that these magic users, they tend to like the rest. So I don't expect this party's going to go all night.
I'm gonna look around and be like,
We do stand out a bit. We are not as fancy as most here.
Definitely we do in all of our armor. And I look down at two chicks in full metal armor, warhammer in hand.
this whole time I've had my back to Falzarin. I'm barely acknowledging his existence.
I'm going to grab Shaft by the elbow and say, Shaft, why don't we duck out? Perhaps we could escape to the washroom for a moment.
Probably not a bad idea. I keep looking up to see if Isabella is looking in our way. And if I look like she's sort of glancing, I try to stand behind somebody else. I'm a pretty short guy. I think I could probably...
Absolutely, especially, between you and basically them at the other end of this hall, there is, of course, everyone on the dance floor. So you are skirted quite a bit, and you do see amongst the six of them at this head table, they're just kind of chatting amongst themselves. It doesn't look like anyone is really approaching them, as they're all just enjoying themselves currently.
So I'd say to Falzarin, see that door over there? Over on the west wall? The one that we saw Tenchi go out of. I'm going to say, what's back there?
Falzarin, you know that through there are the washrooms. It does lead to a hallway. Falzarin also knows that leads to the elders, their studies, and there's a kind of what would be a conference hall there for teachings and lectures and that kind of thing.
That was where I was thinking of going, Shaft. It's kind of the closest doorway we can get to without getting noticed. Girls, does that sound fair? Can Shaft and I...
I feel like we already walked away.
Okay.
We're mingling.
Okay, I'm gonna take. Let's take Elena and Emily. Kick the gentleman off mic, and the two of you can be walking in this crowd, and
Yeah.
you want to be conversing to some of the guests.
Well, my first question is, you said no one is going up and approaching the table of elders. They're just discussing amongst themselves.
Yeah, currently.
Now, does that seem weird to me, or is that intimidating as far as us coming up to the table, right?
Yeah, possibly. I think it doesn't stand out to Mia as being odd.
Okay.
Maybe it seems strange to Shakara. But as you're kind of moving through this crowd, you kind of approaching the crowd of dancers kind of thing. And there are many conversations that people clustered around too, right? Not everyone is dancing, obviously. And you kind of overhear many of the guests there. They're speaking about their own academic pursuits. A couple of them are cheerfully debating the most useful spells for their given craft, the best inks in which to pen one's spell book. Some real nerd shit.
Okay.
You do hear, though, quite a few of them speaking about a strange shell-like boat that showed up at the port.
Interesting. I don't think I would chime into that conversation. I don't know about you, Shakara.
It appears the Rising Star 3 has not gone unnoticed.
Yeah. I don't know that they're going to be accepting of something magical like that.
But everything here is magic. And about magic.
I know, but Falzarin said there's a lot of resistance to change and...
Falzarin has said many things.
Sure. Sure, he has. Keep looking up at the head table. No one seems to be addressing them or talking to them. It's just...
Is that unusual?
I don't think so, but it's also weird that they're not, raising a toast or addressing us as well by now.
Would we cause a scene if we went to talk?
I don't really want to cause a scene. That
is what I'm asking.
Yeah. I'm afraid that we might draw attention. We're already drawing enough attention in this armor we're wearing. I don't know, let's keep mingling. I see something on the snack tray over there that I want to try. So I lead her away.
Are you striking up You're not striking up conversations with anybody? Is there a particular set of group you may want to eavesdrop on, or what exactly is the goal here then?
I really just, I'm really hoping that we don't become the first and only people to address this table of elders. I'm just hoping maybe they say something or someone comes up to them, or at least listening to the crowd, we can maybe figure out, like, in context, why we're celebrating this guest of honor, like why this party is existing.
Okay, that's great. Why don't, yeah, you don't need to do a roll for that. As you're kind of walking through, though, again, you are getting some glances as people are seeing how you're dressed, and one of them kind of steps up to you away from this cluster of three in which they were conversing, and oh, hello, are you two performers? Is there, are you clad for a play? Is that?
We are wasting time. We have important information we need to impart.
Okay.
We must speak with the elders.
The play's begun. I love this roleplay. Well, my goodness, ma'am. You certainly look like ones that could handle some type of danger. But if there is a threat to the city, then surely it was of great import for you to talk to the elders. He kind of chuckles as he delivers these lines.
I'm just glaring at this guy and like, oh, I want to melt his face.
And I'm looking at Shakar like, please don't do anything stupid. So I look at this guy that's now acting along with us and be like, oh wow, yeah, you're a great actor. When you say that we could talk to the elders, are guests allowed to talk to the elders?
Well, I mean, we're all just waiting for Alamar's announcement. I mean, we are here to honor this special guest.
Who is this special guest? What do you know of her?
I mean, honestly, not too much. Certainly, many of us have heard the name Isabella Good around town. She helps out quite a bit with Herculon, so the rumors say. I'm not sure if she's being honored in some way.
When is the announcement?
Well, I believe we're just waiting for the rest of the guests to arrive. I mean, is it just you two for the play? Surely. I appreciate you maybe warming up with myself. But usually the festivities really start once the announcements are out of the way, and
I appreciate all the compliments, sir, but we are not actors. Like, we are adventurers. This is not a play.
My goodness, should I be alarmed?
No.
Yes.
Maybe.
It depends highly on how our news is received.
Does this have anything to do with that strange boat that people have been talking about?
What do you know of the boat?
Well, I've not been down to the port in many weeks. I haven't seen it myself, but people speaking about how quickly it moves through the water and submerge and surface all around the island.
Obviously, we don't belong at this party. I mean, look at us. We know nothing of which ink to use for your spell book, and...
Well, that's easy. You use McLaren's finest. Best ink around. You won't find anything better.
We do not care about
Good to
ink.
know. We don't really care.
Well,
I'm looking at the elders'
pardon
tables.
me, then.
Are they still just, out of the corner of my eye, are they still just talking amongst themselves?
Yeah, and you see, they're being served some drinks and food themselves.
Shakara, I don't want to make a scene. I know you're getting frustrated.
It may be a bit too late for that.
Well, they haven't noticed us yet.
We wait for the announcement and then go talk to them?
That's what I'm thinking. What if
You're
it's...
as rude to them as you are to me. Your news will fall on deaf ears.
You are of no consequence.
Sir,
How dare
she's had a rough day. If you could just leave us be. My apologies. I'm sorry.
How did you two get in here? And he mumbles under his breath as he storms away. And you see, he walks back to his group, and you see him pointing and gesticulating at you, seeming, in a bit of a rage.
I'll wave to the group.
Okay. All right. Shakara, this is not going to go well if you don't turn your attitude around. This hostility cannot be present when we talk to the elders. We're here to help. Right?
I look a little bit ashamed.
I am sorry. I am not sure what has come over me.
I'm not sure either. Something with Keck. Do you want to talk about it? I have a minute. We're still just observing here.
There is more to it than what has happened with Keck, but I cannot speak on it now.
All right. Just know that if you want to talk about it, I'm here. I know I've only known you guys a few days, but I thought I could trust you. And your outburst with Falzarin and your hostility towards a total stranger right now, I'm just beginning to wonder what the heck is going on.
I wish Campbell was here. He would be able to help me make sense of things, I believe.
Well, what do you think? No one's really addressing the elders. Wait for the announcement, or kind of mosey on up there?
Maybe we can be near the front and catch their eye.
Okay, that's fine. So, we kind of wander to the groups of people in front of the table.
And again, more of overhearing these same conversations. It's very, it seems like everyone here is very focused on their academics, and it's like their lifeblood, basically. There's, again, not much additional talk. Obviously, some personal anecdotes that really mean nothing to the two of you, but you move closer to this table. So now are you kind of circumnavigating this kind of dance floor here and making your way towards the table? Not quite marching towards it, but moving in its general direction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say we are
Moseying.
all the way up where I put myself, like, pretty much within 10 feet of the table.
I would say we're probably off to the side a little bit.
Sure, like over next to the band, kind of here.
Yeah.
And you do see, as you approach the man that Shakara was quite rude to, you see him still kind of across the room, and he's still kind of giving you glances and pointing and speaking to some more people around him. Seems you are drawing some type of attention. But you do see one of the elders, Geneva, as Falzarin did point them out to each of you. You see her, a little side eye kind of in your direction. And then she fully turns her head and meets both of your gaze. She has kind of a quizzical look on her face.
I'm gonna nod my head, go gesture, come over here.
Which one is Geneva?
She is the dark-skinned elf. One of the two elves, but she looks much younger than Alamar. And as Shakara, you kind of nod your head. Again, a quizzical look, but you see her lean over to the woman to her right, Sybil, and she whispers something into her ear, and Sybil gives her a nod, and Geneva stands up from the table, and she makes her way over towards you.
Hi. Are you Geneva?
Yes, I am.
I'm Mia, and this is Shakara. Very nice
Well
to meet
met.
you.
And you? You are not quite dressed for the party, as many of our guests are.
We arrived yesterday on the strange ship that is now in your port. We bring grave tidings.
Well, it's not good news to hear. What seems to be the problem?
Well, there's a few things going on, Geneva. We were told we could trust you.
Oh, by whom?
Our friend Falzarin?
Oh, is he back in Heracleon?
Maybe?
Could you roll a deception check, please?
16?
So, how do you know him then?
Well, it's all part of the news, right, Shakara? I mean,
Our paths have crossed.
yeah.
We came together and discovered things going on the mainland that affect Heracleon as well.
My goodness. Perhaps this isn't the right place for us to speak about such matters. And I'm sure the rest of the elders would be interested in hearing what you have to say, if your news is as dire as you speak.
Well, Geneva, the question is, do you trust all the other elders?
Well, of course. We built and we maintain Heracleon. I consider them all to be my friends.
Yes, we must impart our news to all of you. It will take your combined effort to confront what we have to tell you.
Can I do an insight on Geneva?
Sure.
20.
Yeah, I mean, when she speaks of her trust in considering them all friends, you get the sense that she's not being entirely truthful. Those words don't ring entirely true. She did kind of give a slight pause before confirming that, yes, I trust them. So it doesn't seem like there's an implicit trust between her and maybe some of them or all of them. Again, she really referred to all of them. So
Geneva, I have reason to believe that there could be an infiltration of your leadership in Heraklion. And I'm trusting you to know what I mean by that. Have you heard of a deep scion before?
Well, I am briefly read about them. We have a myriad of texts on all types of creatures, yes. How did you come about this information?
I mean, do you know how deep scions are linked to krakens?
Well, I do not know there's a specific link, but I guess that is a possibility.
Can I do another insight after I've mentioned deep scion to her? For her reaction?
Yeah.
It's a nat 20, so that's 27.
Yeah, she's definitely heard of Deep Scion.
But she didn't give a reaction of, suspicion.
She was kind of maybe taken aback when you mentioned the name of them.
Okay.
Physically, she kind of puts a hand up to her chest, reacting to you mentioning them, yes.
So I want to look over at Shakara and Geneva and... Shakara, I know that you want to talk to all the elders, but I don't get the feeling that Geneva trusts all of them either. I can't risk letting this information get into the wrong hands.
Geneva, Falzarin is in the back of the room. There is a kraken in the waters off of Heraklion, and Isabella Good is not who she seems to be.
And we want your help, Geneva. Let's not forget that.
Well, that is quite a bit to take in all at once. I don't know what to say.
We need your discretion.
I must insist on some form of proof. I do not know either of you, and I've lived here most of my life with these elders.
I mean, you won't need much proof for long with the Kraken. It will get bigger and attack. It will. We've seen it several times now. Geneva, do you trust Falzarin?
Yes, I quite like Falzarin.
That's not much to go by.
Shakara, you're not helping. If you trust Falzarin, Geneva, you should just trust what we're telling you is true. He didn't want to risk being seen by Isabella and the rest of the elders like Alamar. He knows that he's not their favorite person. He sent us to come and warn the elders, but I don't know that you guys all are able to be trusted about this Kraken. We need help. We need all the help we can get, and we need to protect your island. There's much knowledge here that needs to be protected.
I agree that yes, if there is a threat to Heraklion, it needs to be acted upon. And I mean, I know Falzarin and Alamar certainly do not see eye to eye on many things, but you come speaking of these events, but you lead in with a lie, as Falzarin is here? Is he not? I am not sure which one of you to believe.
Geneva, he's here. But we're just trying to protect him because we're his friends too. His life is in danger with Isabella here.
Okay, listen. I'll speak with him as well. Before I bring this to the elders, I do not want to hide anything from them, despite your accusations. They do need to be consulted as well.
Agreed. We would be more than willing to tell the entire tale to all of you.
That would be appreciated, yes.
We just have to know we might be telling the enemy what we know as well.
I believe they know what we know.
True, but do they know that we know it?
At this point, I do not think it matters. It is more important to tell the story and get them on our side and acquire the aid they can offer.
Geneva, have any of the elders ever left Heraklion, or have they ever traveled throughout Aspara?
Myself, I have for many years. I'm quite long-lived, and Alamar himself as well. As for the rest, I do not believe so.
Okay. I just didn't know if my family name would give what I'm saying any credit. I'm Mia Brightwood from Barrack.
My goodness, I'm certainly familiar with your family's name. I am afraid that it has not much sway here.
I would never associate my family's name with a lie, though. I really mean it. Everything we're saying is true. I hope it at least sinks in with you how serious this is.
Is it possible to set up a meeting with all the elders? Is that this may be discussed? And we shall bring Falzarin and our other companion, Shaft, who also know the tale.
Yes, I mean, once Alamar has gone through his little speech that he so loves to give at these types of events, I'm sure we could arrange something tonight. As if this is as urgent as you say it is, I believe we should not waste much time hearing your tale.
Agreed.
Tonight sounds good.
And as this, this kind of conversation is coming to a close, the music again quiets. People on the dance floor, they stop dancing, and you see Alamar rise from his seat, tapping this glass, like his goblet, basically. And it seems louder than it should be, but it's loud enough to where it resonates throughout the whole hall. And we'll go back to Falzarin and Shaft. Shaft and Falzarin, you've left this ballroom where the party is going, and you've stepped through the same door that Tenchi had walked through, that Shaft had noticed Tenchi move through. And now you've found yourself into this long hallway, kind of this T-shape. You see it goes left and right and straight ahead of you. And there are a series of doors on the left and right of this main, like where it's going straight in the way orientation that you're facing, which would be west on the map. And Shaft, you don't see any sign of Tenchi, but you are now out of this ballroom where the party is going on and into this hallway. Doesn't seem to be anybody else here.
It's a good idea that we stay low, right? Lay low.
Yeah, I'm worried. What is Isabella doing here? This has got me completely off guard.
Well, let me tell you. Yeah, a little while ago, I went and put in an order with our buddy Alstoff, and we had a little chat. Seems like Isabella might be in with the Paladins. She has something to do with the order and the snakes and stuff.
Those mechanical beasts?
Yeah.
Really?
So I don't think she's, not surprisingly, not been on the up and up with you the whole time.
Oh, this is bad.
So we can only assume that she's here and the council is also in on this deal with the Paladins. There's a hell of a lot more going on here than we know.
This is... I do not like this. Those are some powerful people sitting at that table, especially with Isabella being thrown into the mix with them. If they're all against us, this is bad. I never saw eye to eye with them, but I wouldn't have expected this of, especially someone like Geneva. She seemed like her heart was in the right place.
We gotta assume that maybe some of them are in on it and some of them aren't. She could be just fine.
That could be.
And not know anything about it.
Yeah.
Right now, I think we need to figure out how we can lay low until they go find out or tell them about the Kraken. Which is odd in itself, because that was more, Erica's deal.
I know. I wonder if Isabella has anything to do with the Kraken. My gut says no, but who knows at this point. Now, Shaft, part of the reason I wanted to get us out of eyesight of everyone is that I have an idea. I've recently learned some new magic, and I might be able to give us about an hour of time where we could sneak around and gather information. There might be some rooms in here that could have some incriminating evidence that could help us figure out who's on which side. And I can give us invisibility for up to an hour.
That's handy.
Yes. No one will be able to see us. There are some powerful magic users here who might be able to, by other means, detect my magic and discover us that way, but for anyone who's not on high alert, we might be able to pass unseen, and as long as we're quiet, we could have some time to see what we can see back here.
Let's not stand here in this hallway and talk about it. Is there a place we can go?
Sure.
Somebody could walk in here any minute.
That's a good point. Yeah, let's duck. Perhaps we can duck into the washroom and I can cast this spell if you think it's a good idea. Now, if we are to attack, which I'm hoping doesn't arise while we're here, but that will break the spell, just so you're aware.
Okay. And I start walking towards one of the... one of the doors? Is it like separate little washroom areas?
Yeah, so again, there's looks like there's 4 closed doors on either side of this 20-foot hallway that leads west. And Falzarin has certainly been to the keep. He has some information on his layout. He knows that these are individual stalls. Each door is kind of its own like washroom, basically.
Can I do a check to see if I hear anyone in the stalls?
Sure, you could put your ear to the door and do a perception. You want to check a specific door?
Both. I kind of just want to take a moment to hear to see if I think I hear anyone that was close to us that might have overheard us from the stalls, and then I'd like to try and find an empty stall so that we don't walk in on someone and be found out.
Sure, roll a perception. Both of you can.
It's a 16 for Falzarin.
9.
So as Falzarin, you kind of approach one of these doors and listening in. The first one you move to doesn't hear the sound of anything coming from inside, but as you move past some more of them, from the one on the end, you hear kind of the sloshing of water coming from inside.
Okay. Shaft, quick, let's get inside one of these rooms before someone comes out.
Right behind you.
So I open the one that I think is empty and pull them in.
And walking inside, you just see there's it's about a 15-foot opening here. It's kind of a bucket of water on the ground in front of a half mirror, basically, on the wall. And there's what looks like a stall where the actual toilet would be.
Okay, how's this work? You just you're gonna do your mojo here, and then boom. Can I see you, and can you see me?
No, we won't be able to see each other. So we're gonna have to be strategic about this. Either whisper really quietly to each other, or tug on each other's robes to let us know where we are if there's people close by.
You know your way around. I'll just hang on to you, and I'll try to stay close by.
Okay. I'm thinking, Shaft, we explore back around this area. That there might be some rooms that these elders have something stashed away in that might give us more information.
Sounds like a plan. I'm in. So I'm going to grab onto his robe before he casts the spell.
So he sees me kind of making some hand motions, outlining some kind of arcane symbols in the air and muttering some incantations under my breath, and we both disappear.
Excellent. Okay, so you want to move down like this western hallway, or which direction would you like to go? So basically you have your pick of south, north, or west through this little T junction. But again, Falzarin, you know that to the west are the elders' studies.
Right. Now, Shaft, before we leave here, can you help us with our stealth at all?
I can, but you told me if I cast any kind of spell, we'll become visible again, right?
Any attack.
No, it says, I think the text says
it's
if I
any
cast
spell.
A spell, right? Or cast a spell.
Yeah, it's spell. Can we retcon that and have Shaft cast it before? I'm hoping Shaft will cast Pass Without a Trace.
No, you f***ed up.
Oh, come on. All right.
And I assume you cast that you use a 3rd level for that, so you could target 2 people as well.
Yes. Yeah, I upcast it.
So I would say with invisibility, your stealth checks you have advantage on.
Okay. And then with Pass Without a Trace, we get to add 10 to that, right?
If it was cast before you put visibility on.
Look at the joy and the happiness on Leland's face.
It's rare that Leland has such a big grin on his face.
Oh, I'm sorry, but it's chapter 2, baby.
I'm playing by the rules. I can't help it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay, let's go.
we're going to try and sneak out of this stall here as quietly as possible. And then, yes, we're going to head west down the hallway and explore some of these rooms.
All right, both of you roll me a stealth check with advantage.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm good. 23.
17 for Falsey.
Falzarin, you leading Shaft, you open the door, which appeared to any viewer that it would open itself, and you move out into this hallway. Doesn't look like there's anyone around. You can still hear, even in here, outside of the main ballroom, like the music still playing, right? It's still kind of now echoing throughout these hallways. Obviously much softer as the doors that you came out were not left open, they're closed, right? So you move towards down this west hallway, and again, with Falzarin's knowledge of the layout, it branches north. There's 2 smaller hallways that lead north, kind of around what would be like 2 back-to-back conference rooms. And to the south, Falzarin also knows that There's basically, it's like guest rooms for anybody that would be visiting Heraculon or staying at the keep.
So I'm going to go up to the first guest room and just listen at the door, see if I hear anything.
Okay, give me a perception check, and we'll do that for all 4 of these closed doors on this southern wall, so we don't, actually take an hour to do this.
Okay. So 8 for the first one. Do you want me to do one
No,
individually?
it's going to be 1 for all of them.
Dang.
I got a 20 if we're going.
So neither of you hear anything but the soft echoes of the music playing from the ballroom.
So I want to check each of them out one at a time. So we'll go into the first one.
The first one looks as if it's unused. The bed is made. There's no signs of like discarded garments or anything like that. Same for the second one. In the third one, it does look like the bed sheets have been kind of tussled, and you do see each one of these rooms. They're identical, right? So each one of these rooms has basically what would be a chest, kind of like a storage chest at the foot of each bed. In this third room, the chest is kind of thrown open, and you see there's additional clothing, garments inside of it. So clearly it looks like someone is staying here. And in the fourth room, again, it's much like the first and second. It looks untouched, as if it's unoccupied.
I'd like to go into the third room and bring Shaft along and investigate basically all around in the chest and see if there's any papers I can see anywhere, anything that might give me any clues about who's staying here.
Sure. Are you now splitting up within this room yourselves and each want to do an investigation thing, or what?
Yeah, I think since there's nobody there, I'm just going to say, hey, I'm going to search over here. Well, we can still talk. Just be quiet. And I let go of him. And
All right, both of you can roll me a investigation.
It's a 16 for Falzarin.
it's a 3.
Oh.
Falzarin, so you're looking through this trunk?
Yes.
Yeah, again, it does just look like a change of clothes. You do see kind of a familiar looking robe, though. It's as what Isabella was wearing the last time both of you saw her.
Does it look... Can I tell if it would be male or female garments?
No, again, it's very nondescript. It's like a robe. Robes are quite unisex.
Yeah. And there's nothing else in the room that I see that would give me any indication that might help identify if this is a male or female that's staying here.
Doesn't appear to be.
All right. And I don't see any papers around, nothing, no bags of platinum or magic wands.
No, and again, so there's this little coffee table basically with a few chairs surrounding it in one corner of this room, and there's some empty dishes, a couple empty glasses, but other than that, no.
Well, Shaft, I think we've seen all we can see here. Why don't we move on? Now, do I recall what else is in this hallway apart from those conference rooms and these 4 kind of guest rooms?
So which one of there's 2 branching hallways that now lead north, kind of around these conference halls. Which one would you like to duck into first?
I'd like to go into the farthest west, the one that's farthest from the main ballroom.
So as he walks out the door, I'm going to reach out, sort of feeling around and then grab onto him again.
And so I'll tell Shaft, all right, we need to be really quiet. This might get a little bit dangerous here. The next rooms we're going to go to belong to the elders, so I just hope there's no magical wards on these rooms that we're going to trip, but I think we need to try and figure out whatever we can. There's a lot at stake here.
Sounds good. You need to talk quieter, though.
Right. Sorry, Shaft. Let's go.
So through this hallway, it may be like 60-ish feet long. On either side of you, there's 2 doors on either side of these walls. The doors on your left are, as you know, Falzarin, the doors to the studies. And as you pass to get to the first one, it has a nameplate on it. It's Elder Keek. So, they're very clearly labeled. So as you approach a door, you know exactly whose study this is.
Okay.
And the second one in this hallway belongs to Sybil.
Do I hear anything?
You can make a perception. I mean, both of you know the elders are in the ballroom.
Yeah. That's a 6.
You don't hear anything from either the studies or from the conference room either.
Shaft, let's walk around these conference rooms and go to the other side of this hallway where the other 2 elders studies.
Why can't we go into these?
Well, I don't have a lot of suspicion. I mean, I guess we should check all of them. That's a good point. Let's check these while we're here. So I'll check the first one, and just try and open the door as quietly as possible.
The door does open, and you step into Keeksak's study. It's a fairly large room. In one corner, there's a metal spiral staircase leading to a second floor. You see there's a desk with assorted parchments and an inkwell. Two fairly lush-looking chairs sit in front of the desk as well. And there's what looks like a bookshelf full of a few tomes and volumes in the southern corner of this study.
Hey, you look at the paperwork. I'll go upstairs and see if there's anything up there.
Okay. So I'll wander over to the desk and take a survey of what it looks like. I want to try and keep it looking as similar as it did before I touch anything. I'd like to put things back the way I found them if I'm able to.
It looks like there's just, you see there's like a to-do list on his desk, a couple different quills for writing, an inkwell that's about half full. There's other pieces of paper with more scrawlings of, lectures, basically. You see it's as if he's scrawling out like a lesson or something.
Any drawers I can open?
No.
It's just a desk with some papers on top. None of them seem suspicious or overly revealing of any nefarious things.
It doesn't seem to be, no.
Anything else in the room of note that is worth investigating that I think?
Again, just the bookshelf if you want to peruse some of the volumes.
Yeah, sure. I'll take a look at and see if any of the names of the books stand out and seem unusual.
As you're looking, you do recognize some of the names. They're very common volumes that you yourself have read in the Knowledge Center. Scanning the titles, though, it doesn't look as if there's definitely no books of some of the more non-traditional or, quote, forbidden types of magic that Alamar would be opposed to. You don't find anything like that.
All right, so I will follow upstairs to see what Shaft is doing.
Shaft, up these stairs, you find a living quarters. There's a large double bed. There seems to be a fireplace in one corner, a lounging chair. There's a small dining table. Some shelves line the northern wall.
So I'm going to do the typical thing that I think I would know. I'm going to, look under the mattress. I'm going to go over and move the chair, look for floorboards or anything that might look like it's been, taken up and back down again. You can see in the cracks that it's not, lining up just right. Those kind of things. I'm going to sort of glance around there and give that a tertiary look. I'm not really concerned about this guy too much because it didn't seem like Falzarin was, but if anything jumps out at me, I'm going to take a look.
Sure, roll an investigation.
That's not good. That's a 6.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's any signs of false floorboards or there's definitely nothing hidden under the mattress at all or the bed itself, in the cushions of the chair. You find a few loose copper in the chair. Find 3 copper pieces. But other than that, it doesn't seem to be anything out of place or out of the ordinary. Again, this bookshelf has, a myriad of volumes that you yourself don't recognize any of the titles.
Okay. There's a door over on the wall, right?
There is.
I'm going to go over to that door. Is there like a keyhole or something that I can look out of?
Yeah.
I'm just going to glance out, see if there's light out there or anything, any movement. Do I see people walking?
Yeah, you can make a perception with disadvantage.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a 3.
You do see a stone wall directly, basically the other side of a 10-foot hallway. A stone wall. That's all you see.
I think since I'm invisible, I'm just going to go ahead and sort of slowly push the door like a crack and glance out and see if there's anything, what's down the hall kind of thing.
And Falzarin, you are moving up the spiral staircase, and you see this door slowly creaking open of its own accord. And Shaft, you do see, basically this is a second level. And you see that this hallway runs parallel with the hallway below in which you had used to enter the first level study. And it does continue to the north and south of you.
All right. I'm going to walk back to the top of the stairs, sort of walk down 2 or 3 and go, hey, Falzarin.
Yeah, Chef, I'm right here.
Whoa, Jesus Christ.
Right beside you.
Whoa, you scared me. Yeah, did you know there's another hallway up here?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's smartest to stay up on this level and work our way down or go back down to the main floor. Probably stay up here. I think there's less chance that we'll run into anyone up here.
Well, yeah, if we're looking for something, it's probably going to be in their personal items.
Yeah, I think you're right. Have you found anything in here?
No, this one's clean.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one then.
I think we'll just both sort of... I'm just going to walk over to the door. I'm not going to grab onto him at this point. And just go, how about the one that way, up to the north? That one.
Yeah, so we'll head up further towards the further north to the one that's adjacent to this one. I forget whose that was.
That is Sybil's.
Sybil's. Okay. All right. So I'll once again just have a quick listen at the door, see if I hear anyone on the other side or any movement.
You don't hear anything.
And I will creak the door open very stealthily.
And you see a living quarters much like Keek's. A bed in a corner, a few bookshelves. There is a hearth like a fireplace, a small rounded table in the middle, and another staircase that would presumably lead down to Sybil's study.
Okay, why don't you go down and do the paperwork thing again? I'll check up here. We'll just do it quick, and then come back up.
You just signal me if you need help. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we'll worry about that when that happens.
Let's hope it doesn't.
So, Shaft, you want to do the same type of investigation up here in Sybil's room?
Yep. 15.
And much like Keek's, you don't find anything really out of the ordinary. Other than the bed, though, you do find a small, like a thin book, and it does look like it's some type of journal. It's kind of leather bound. There's a latch on it, basically. So it is locked up. There's basically like an arm, right? A piece of leather that folds over from the back cover to the front and kind of locks in. A small, tiny little keyhole on it.
Is it small enough where I could like pouch it and it wouldn't? It's not like a full size book. It's like a smaller.
It's very small. Yeah, you could easily put it into a pack. It's less than an inch thick.
I'll pocket it.
Falzarin, down in the study. Want to do the same type of investigation, or you just want to look over the desk? You see a desk. There's some chairs, a few bookshelves again with more volumes.
Yeah, I want to look for anything that I think might give me information about. Paying a special attention for something that might be hidden somewhere that isn't quite out in the open. But I'm also going to look over just whatever's laying out on the desk and the bookshelf, those sorts of things. And
this shelf, Sybil's desk looks much more tidy than Keek's. There are no loose papers. They're kind of arranged in more of a neat stack. You do find a scroll that is bound with a piece of ribbon.
Does it look like I could do a half-decent job of opening the scroll up and putting it back together without it being obvious?
Yeah, the ribbon is just in a neat little bow, so you would have to replicate that.
Yeah, I'll try my best to open it up, read it, and then replace it the way I found it.
You open it up, and it is a scroll of Dimension Door.
Ooh. Oh boy. You've put Falzer in a morally sticky situation here.
So, I will remind you, for scrolls, that obviously you can't pen a scroll into your spell book of which you do not have a spell slot for. Dimension Door is a 4th level spell, so I don't believe you have access to that. So you couldn't put it into your book currently, but you could certainly still use it. Now, we've never really discussed it, but if you want to use a scroll that is of a spell that is either not on your spell list or of a level of which you do not have slots, you will have to make an intelligence saving throw to avoid a scroll mishap.
I'm just going to look up Dimension Door. Oh boy, that is a sweet, sweet spell. Oh,
you'll get it soon. You'll get it not that far away.
I'd rather just take the scroll and not have to... How long would it take me to transcribe it?
Well, if you had access to 4th level spells, it would take you whatever the time is that you've been doing, right?
Yeah, it would take a while. What would Falzarin do? He's not evil. I don't think he'd steal from Sybil. as tempting as it is to have that spell. I think I'm just going to leave it because I don't have any reason to think that Sybil is evil at this point, and I'm not going to steal something from her.
Can you roll a sleight of hand then to do this ribbon back up?
Just trying to do mental gymnastics of how I can think of a way that Falzarin would want to take this, because I want it so bad.
Well, okay. Not to try to sway you to do anything that may not be in Falzarin's character. But Falzarin, you know that, like, this is Heraclan. Like, scrolls here are really a dime a dozen. They're not sold, they're really predominantly created. Now, obviously, Sybil put in some type of time. Not necessarily gold because of the availability of many of the ingredients and inks, special inks that you would need here. But, it certainly costs her something to create it. And you also know that the type of magic that Dimension Door is, that's kind of the magic that Sybil specializes in.
I would probably look at it like, do you hold any ill will against her?
I don't think so. Sybil isn't especially someone who's been... I mean, none of them have really been overly nice to Falzarin, except for perhaps Geneva Vance, because she's been the person who's been the kindest. But I think what Falzarin will do, given the fact that it's not impossible for Sybil to replace it, and not worth massive amounts of money, I think he's going to leave some gold that he thinks would cover roughly the cost of that. And he's going to take it, put it in his bag of holding.
Sure, I will say that Falzarin estimates that a spell of this level, were he to be on the mainland to procure the ingredients and the inks and parchment and put in the time to create something like this, it would run you about 2,500 gold pieces and take about 16 hours to create.
What? Oh, dang. Okay, so it's worth a lot more than I thought.
On the mainland, yes. But again, here in Heracleon...
How much do I think it would set Sybil back to replace it if she wanted to?
From Falzarin's perspective, it would mostly just set her back the 16 hours of time that she put in to create it.
Okay. And she's probably making a minimum wage, so... Okay, you know what? I've got... Yeah, I will leave... I don't know. I think I'll just leave... I've got 50 gold pieces here, so I'm going to leave 50 gold.
And that's our show. I know, I didn't want it to end either. But you can follow us on social media, Incorrigible Party on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter at IncorrigiblePar. Our website's incorrigibleparty.com, where we have merchandise, maps, NPC character backgrounds, and right now we have our March Madness brackets. So go take a look and pick out your favorite NPC to make it to the end. I like Barry. Barry's gonna win. We're sponsored by Critical Hit Design at criticalhitdesign.com. The ambient music and sounds are all from Tabletop Audio. The intro and outro music is by Josh Jarvis. You can email him at jamesmercymusic@gmail.com. Oh yeah, we have a Discord channel too. I don't suggest it. There's a bunch of idiots on there talking about stupid stuff most of the time, but if you're interested, you can go to the website and there'll be a link there. And thanks again for listening. Things are tough out there right now, and we hope we can give you a couple hours a week to just not think about all that crap and have fun with us in Aspara. So keep tuning in and happy adventuring.
Welcome to the first bracket of the IP March Madness quarterfinals. In the West, be it restaurant or man, the dwarf who closes down Applebee's, Rugar Alebender, versus the half-orc with no time for gods or old women, Horik. Horik steps up and he's sheathing his axe. Oh, I know what this is, ladies and gentlemen. He's switching tactics since his last fight. He's using his cunning conversationalist maneuver. Horik is talking non-stop. Rugar is frantically clutching his head, trying to plug his ears. Rugar stumbles to his beer wagon. He starts to man the taps. He begins chugging down ale after ale after ale. The liquor seems to be helping him cope. He's talking back to Horik now. They're holding a conversation that is completely incomprehensible. Rugar downs another mug full, and another, and 2 more. It seems the dwarf has turned the tables on Horik. The half-orc is now clutching his head. Blood is coming out of his ears. Oh my gods, members of the crowd in the front row are falling over dead. Orc's been driven to his knees now. Rugar standing over him. He's finishing yet another drink and pulling out his dagger, finishing off Horik as well. Rugar takes his second bout. You know what they say about brewing, folks? It's a cutthroat industry. For our Eastern bracket, he's chummed the waters and's ready for a feeding frenzy. Chucky the Arcanist versus Hot Stuff. He's burning down the house. Clash Bone Collector. Chucky goes for the air spring maneuver, activating his boots again. But Clash was ready for it. He winds up with his longsword like a batter waiting for the perfect pitch. His swing smashes into Chucky's breastplate, caving it in. Chucky looks winded from the blow. He struggles to get back to his feet as he readies a gauntlet blast at Clash. But the chieftain, he's got Chucky by the wrist. He's activating his own breastplate, easily able to overpower Chucky's. The Arcanist's gauntlet blaster turned in on himself, going off in his face. Piece by piece, Clash strips Chucky of his Arcanist armor. Chucky tries to roll away, but he's stuck on his hump, like a turtle on its back. One gut-wrenching stomp to Chucky's head, and it's all over. Clash Bone Collector is moving on to the semi-finals. We're nearing the end game now, folks. Stay tuned for the second quarterfinal bracket in the next episode.